Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Shalom, King. How you feeling today?
I'm doing pretty good, my brother. Doing pretty good. For those who don't know who you are, you can pretty much give them a brief introduction of yourself. You know, give some more information out there about yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, definitely. I'm Nasi Yashuv-EL, son of Principal of Shema Yisrael, and I have a congregation in Atlanta. It's called Shomer HaTorah, 1386 Ralph David Abernathy. So if you're in the Atlanta area, come check us out every Shabbat. It's a beautiful thing. It's a lot of history involved. If you don't know much about me, I'm a third-generation Hebrew. My father came into the understanding, the knowledge of the Creator when he was like 20, in his early 20s, and my mother was born into this way of life, and my grandma had a place in New York called Beth Absalom, which is no longer open, but we've been in understanding of ourselves for 3 generations. So, you know, the Most High has definitely blessed my family with the knowledge and wisdom to understand that we are the true Hebrew Israelites. There's before I get started, you know, there's a lot of things that are coming up and we got going on. We also have a debate June 5th. It's going to be between Minister Inky and Lord Abba. You can check my Facebook page and my Instagram for more information on that, but that'll be June 5th. Minister Inky versus Lord Abba, and Israel Doctrine versus Dr. Ma'at. Sister Ma'at is a very intelligent sister, so that discussion will be very powerful. The title of that one is the God of the Bible, Friend or Enemy. So that'll be an interesting debate. We're also working on a reality show. Me, Ali Muhammad, Anka Keg, another brother from the Amara Squad, Sankofa, Gorilla Hebrew, a few other brothers, Minister Inky, possibly Red Pill, Kalanji from the FTP movement are going to be staying in the same house for a week, and we're going to be recording that, and we're going to bring that information towards our brothers and sisters. So we're trying to do positive things for the community and uplift our people. Also at the building, we have a Guerrilla Republic gear, 1386 Rob David Abernathy. I'll be out there Sunday to Thursday selling conscious DVDs and conscious clothing. If you're an Israelite and you have a clothing line and you want to have your stuff being sold in Atlanta, get in contact with me. You can email me at hebrewmore@gmail.com, hebrewmore@gmail.com, so we can build this nation.
Most definitely. And I appreciate you, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. And I have the email actually at the description box, all the information, the YouTube channel, the Facebook page. So for those that's on the internet, you can check it out later on. Debate Talk for You. All right, guys, get your pen and pads ready. And later on, we're going to go to the people and get some questions for the masses out there. You know that number, 646-716-7320. Nasi Yashuv-EL, you can go ahead with the lesson, brother.
All right, appreciate you, King. Definitely, peace and blessings, family. All praise, all honor, all glory to the supreme intellect of the universe. Yah, our forefather, Yah Abraham, Yitzchak, Yah Yaakov. Thanking us for the divine presence and allowing us to be here this day as a Sabbath come in and we receive a spiritual message and information. I know I did an introduction to myself, but I'd like to go a little deeper because I want people to understand the stance that I take in Yisrael, the stance of unity. And even in a stance of unity at times, I receive a lot of people fighting against it. And many people slander my name or say negative things or have negative words of us coming together as a people. But I want people to understand our history. And this is some key information. I was raised in New York, then moved to California, came back to New York. And I went to a school called Wingate in New York. And in Wingate, we had Israelites. We were very deep in the school. There was a lot of Israelites. We actually ran the school. When situations would escalate, the Israelites would surround the building, shut down the school. So we had a lot of power in the school. We would do this in all schools in New York. In fact, we were actually considered number 2 on the terrorist list in New York. and not because we were terrorizing people, but we had a defense. We had a defense that was stronger than anything else. In that school, we had another sect of Israelites, and they were Messianic Hebrews. Every day after school, well, we all Messianic, but we all waiting on the Messiah. But I'm talking about New Testament, Old Testament. So we would collectively come together, and we would argue every day after school. Me and the brothers on the Torah side, and then what we would call the two-book groups with the Messianic congregations. They would argue. We would go back and forth, where we actually didn't even have no brotherhood. We didn't even like each other. Only time we spoke is when we was arguing and debating. But we would get along with everybody else in the school. And at the time, I didn't understand how foolish that seemed, or it appeared to many people. So I would continue on my stance of ignorance, and we had a meeting in New York in the early 90s, mid-90s, with a group of One West brothers, and they came to the place called Yashuv-EL. We had a meeting, and we were discussing a few things, and one of the discussions was about Yeshua or Yahweh Shah, and a fight almost broke out between us and the One West group. And to me, it seemed as the Hebrews were able to get along with everybody else because, look, we worked with Muslims. We were doing construction jobs with Muslims and worked hand in hand with them. But with our brothers, we could not get along. It didn't make any sense. But then I started to grow and grow. It was so bad that in our past, Israelite congregations would go to war with each other. It'll be the Sabbath day and brothers are on the rooftop with sniper rifles. And other brothers are coming by in black limousines with guns hanging out the windows and brothers shooting each other and shooting at each other. This is a horrible time. But why did this start? It's because people's belief in the doctrine was slightly different. And so problems were created out of the mist. And if you don't believe me, there were two camps. One of the camps is called B'nai Zakim, the ancient congregation. And then the other camp was Hashaba. It had gotten so bad in the city of New York that Malcolm X decided right before he died that he was going to come and intervene and have a peace treaty with the two Israelite groups. So when I come to my brothers and sisters now, and I speak about love, and I speak about unity, and I speak about coming together, it's because I've seen what we have done to each other. I've seen the monsters we have become. I've seen how divisive we are. I see how the element of hatred that is planted deep within us has become the driving force of what we call Torah. And we have completely separated ourselves from the true essence of the scriptures. And today we will receive calls from a few people who may not agree with the message, but that's okay. The message isn't for everybody. Freedom isn't for everybody. Liberation isn't for everybody. And truth is not accepted by all. So I've seen in these times, in times of past, where our brothers and sisters went to war. So now I ask when I stand out there as a brother, to ask our brothers and sisters to let's stop this drama. Let's stop the beefing. Let's stop the fighting. Let's stop the slandering each other on YouTube. Stop fighting over Instagram. Stop fighting on Facebook. These are the things that we have to do if we want to uphold the name of the Creator. The Creator told Abraham, he put a spirit inside of Abraham, and when Lot and Abraham's herders and shepherds got into it, he said, let's not do this in front of the Canaanites. Because we will set an image that there is a division or there's a breach between us. And they will find our weakness and they will destroy us. We survived hand in hand inside of Israel for many years. Even when we forsook the Lord, the Creator allowed us to still stay in the land. We had the Pharisees. We had the Sadducees. We had the Netzarim. We had the Essene. We had the Zealots. We had all of these different groups that held down the land. But when we broke out into a civil war, then we fell. And this is the truth that our people have to understand, that we have to start working together. Because if our Torah is teaching the separation and division, then the book, it has no power. If it's telling us not to work together, then our hand can no longer be a fist.
and the might and the strength is removed from our people. So many of us were taught religious doctrines. We were taught certain aspects of scriptures but didn't understand the principle behind it. We didn't understand what it symbolized. What was it supposed to do to us? How was it supposed to connect us back? It's because we were handed a book, and that book that was handed to us liberated us as much as it could, but it didn't completely liberate our minds and our spirits and our souls because we did not understand it. We only understood the book the way it was given to us by our masters. So later in my life, I took a journey, and in this journey, it was to learn the language, to learn the sacred language that the Creator has put before us, because I wanted to be in tune with the vibrations of the universe. I wanted to be in tune with my Creator. I wanted the Creator to speak to me and truth in my heart and my soul. I wanted to be a vessel unto the Creator. So I had to remove all the hatred and anger I had in my heart, because the scripture says in Psalms 39 and 30, verse 9, it says, in my serenity I shall not falter. So the king understood, Melech Dawid understood, when we out and we're angry and we're yelling and we're screaming and we're mad, that we make many spiritual errors, even physical errors, that cost us and remove the Creator from us in our midst. That we have to find a path. And I realized, and I looked at myself, I seen me fight with my brothers, and I said, what's the difference between me and the nigger? And the only thing I could say is I did the Sabbath and I didn't eat pork. So I knew that the Torah that I was reading, it had more for me. I knew that there had to be something deep down that had changed my soul. And I knew that it was telling me about myself, but I couldn't grasp it. And I searched for that truth, and I'm still searching. And to this day, I'm still a sinner, and I ask the Creator for forgiveness. And until we realize that we are sinners, until we realize we don't know anything, then we will continue to falter and never grow. Once you think your truth and the knowledge that you have is absolute, then you have absolutely failed the mission. Because our lives are lifelong journeys, and they're trials and tribulations. And when you tend to get hit with the same thing over and over again, it's the Creator showing you that you have not passed this test, so you will continue to take the test over and over again. So I ask the Creator for forgiveness, because when Judgment Day comes and the Creator asks, have you shown discord amongst your brothers? Have you sown that seed of discord amongst your brothers? I want to be able to look at my Father and that King in heaven and say, no, my Lord, I haven't. And for the times that I did, forgive me. So I will no longer continue to be what the Creator hates and what He said He hates in Proverbs. So in truth, we have to understand that there is so much power, but it was given to us as a religion, and we accepted it as a religion. One of the historians, many of us agree with, some of us don't, but Josephus made a statement. He said, our master Moses physiologized. So what's that? What's physiologized? It's the study of the anatomy, or the teachings of the study of how the body works. But where did our father Moses do this? Where did Avinu Moshe do that at? He did it inside the Torah. He did it inside the Torah. The scriptures without science is like a gun without bullets. You cannot transform yourself, because the same thing that the scriptures in the Torah is telling you how to change, the people are using it to show you how to change into something that is corrupt and a perverted version of a man. Until we understand how our body functions, until we understand that science is not an enemy. Is there corrupted science? Yes, there is corrupted science. And many of the science that they teach you in the school is corrupted science. But there's a truthful and there's an enlightened science that's there that will allow you to ascend to a level of consciousness that no man has seen. And it's the guide, the instructions, the Torah, to put you on a path. But once we started teaching doctrines and saying that science was wicked and corrupt, we did not understand that we don't know how our body operates, so we separated ourselves. And I asked my brothers and sisters, what did they call the ancient scientists of ancient times? They weren't called scientists, were they? What were the doctors called? They wasn't called doctors, were they? No. They were the one who wrote your scriptures. They were called the priest. So the things that the scriptures is telling you is something that's great. It's a powerful energy inside of it. For example, when we look at the creation, we say, this is off a bit. Well, most of us say, oh, that doesn't coincide with science. But that's not true. They say a thing started with a big bang. Well, in the creative scriptures, it says, let there be light. In the beginning, the Creator says that there is this light that's there. And we have to see that this is something great. And then the second day, and days also can be errors or time frames or segments. In Psalms 90, verse 4, you see that 1,000 years is like a day to the Creator. God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. And Elohim divided these waters. The Hebrew word for firmament is raquiyah, and it actually means a hammered out ring. So now when we listen to these words, we can get a better understanding because the firmament doesn't mean much to us. But that raquiyah, that hammered out ring, brings us to the closer understanding of what it's describing. And that ring that's around the earth is called the atmosphere. See, our forefathers knew all of these things. They knew the earth was round when many spoke and said it was flat. You can go to Isaiah 40, verse 22 and witness this. But then it says God divided the waters. And then in science, they discovered large bodies of water that even remain out of space today that used to be on this earth. These things, our scriptures, is far beyond and advanced in time. The third day, God gathered the water and dry land appeared. Where dry land and water meets, it forms clay. We have to understand these things. Clay is an excellent source to bring forth life because it stores and transfers energy. Now we're getting to understanding that the Creator gave us something divine, that people who search far and abroad to get this information and get this knowledge and spend millions of dollars on spaceships, all they had to do was open up the Torah. And this is where your proto-algae come from, the precursor of the chlorophyll plant. God said, let there sprout out vegetation in Genesis 1:11. So you see right now, we on the same level. We on the same side. These plants produce oxygen and set a stage for living creatures. Then it says, herb yielding seed, fruit trees yielding seed after its kind, containing its own seed on earth. This is describing now the transfer of sexual organisms. The fourth day is when the Creator brought forth the luminaries. And this is what stumped many people and many of our brothers and sisters cannot understand. Even in a debate, Sarah Sutton said he tried to throw out about the sun being created on the fourth day, which makes no sense. But when you read in the Hebrew and the language, you see where it goes and what it means. The word light that was created in the beginning is called or. That order, that light, that's where the English word order comes from. The aura that surrounds you is the emanating light that's coming forth out of you. But then the luminaries, which we use an English word to describe it, is actually in Hebrew says me'or. The word mem in front of the word means from. Mem also symbolizes water because all things come from the water. Even the primordial waters, when you read the beginning. So the luminaries come from what? The orb that was created in the beginning. Thus the Creator states in Genesis, and he tells us these things. He says, and God set them in their place. meaning that they were created, but then they were placed on the fourth day. In science, this is called the Precambrian era, which is a gap of time in which each luminary establishes a celestial relationship with a biological cycles. Let's do this, brothers. Let's build. Let's understand this scripture. The scripture that's here gave us the knowledge, gave us power, and gave us the true understanding of the word of Yah. Then comes the maritime vertebrates. This is day 5. Let the waters teem with teeming creatures, etc. Fish. No, this is known as when you get into this, the maritime stage, and then later comes the lower Paleozoic stage in the amphibians, and then is the upper Paleozoic era. And then Elohim created Hatananim Hagadolim. See, now, where we rejected these things, we understood that in the scriptures, that there's no dinosaurs, not in the scriptures. No. But that's not true. Read in the Hebrew where they say whales. The word is Hatananim Hagadolim. That means giant reptiles. Hatananim Hagadolim. Tananim Hagadolim, giant reptiles. Why would they remove that from the book? Because in science they teach that dinosaurs and men did not live around the same time. This is called the Mesozoic era. In Genesis, birds came after the fish, but before the large reptiles. Scientists originally thought that birds came after dinosaurs. But guess what? They were wrong. And they had to give props to the credence to the scriptures. Day 6 is the Cenozoic area, and that's dealing with the mammals. And on this day, this 6th day, the Creator created heaven and earth. And us being carbon-based creatures, there goes the number 6. And plus, the 6 neutrons and the 6 protons and the 6 electrons is the 666, which is the physical beast in itself. It is our physical vessel. And he ceased on the Sabbath day. So now when we get into the Sabbath, we see that there's something important about the cycles of 7. So we get into what we call the circumceptive rhythms, which everybody needs to cease every 7 days. But every 7 years, your body can recreate its own genes in its cells, which we have the 7 sabbatical years. And then you go into the year of Jubilee, which is 50, which brings us back to the orbit of Sirius A and B. That the things that we do traditionally and symbolically, our customs are bringing us back to the highest forms of the universe, that we are in tune with the universe. And why is this important to be in tune with the universe? Because it says Yah Melech HaOlam, the king of the universe. The word Olam and Alam, the Olam means universe, but it means infinite. But the word Alam, which it derives from, means hidden. That the Creator is that dark matter, or is hidden in the dark matter of the universe that controls everything. So when they try to remove the Creator from us, we understand that through our scriptures and our text, it shows us that we are a representation in flesh, and we're a representation of the universe, and we're made in His image that He created. And this is pure truth, where we bring forth the understanding and separate ourselves from deifying these things that help make us, and only worship the one who created the things that govern us and help bring forth life. And these are different understandings and different concepts that people have corrupted over time. When we talk about the depths and depths, in Egypt they deified it by calling it Nun, but in the Hebrew it's called Tahum. When we talk about the darkness, Egypt deified it by calling it Keku, but we dealt with it as Koshek. Hehu, where we got Tohu Wahohu, which is the utter chaos. And they deified the Amun, which is a spirit, and a wind, which we call the Ruach Elohim. But our concept separated us from any other nation because we knew that these entities were not God. We knew that there was a higher source. Not only were we separate from the nations because we educated all our people See, in many lands, in Babylon and ancient Kemet, what you read inside of the pyramids were only for the elite class. Afterlife was only for those who can afford it. But with Torah, the instruction, we knew it was no separation in man or caste systems, but it was an enlightenment for the people, the melanated people of the scriptures, to come forth and build and become like the greatest of nations. And we shall be a priest unto the nation, meaning that us, we are the highest form, and everywhere we go, we shall teach and behave in a manner of consciousness, in a manner of understanding, in a manner of truth, in a manner of wisdom. And that's why we have to find our Creator. We have to understand that the physiological aspect of this book is talking about us. That we understand how we operate. That through the words and through the science, the Creator is sending a message to you. That our temple, where it used to be a vessel between us and the Creator, that we can get back that divine, and it's telling you things to get to it, but we don't understand the concept because we took it religiously. We understand that our father, the priest Aharon, comes from a word oher, which means tangled or coiled. This is that oher that's coiled at the base of your spine. And in the Indian traditions and Asian traditions, they call it kundalini, which is coiled serpents. And this is why the rider Aharon always turns into a serpent. Because that energy is supposed to excel and elevate to your mind and your brain and open up the pineal gland and ignite it with a divine fire. Come engulfed in it. And when we know the truth, when we understand these things, when we understand what Torah can do for us, how it can enlighten us, our bodies is based and built off love. The book says, love thy neighbor as thyself. And it even says, love the converts that are in the midst of you like your brothers. Because when we dealing and we hating each other, we will never find God. We would never experience truth and enlightenment in our life because we're too busy hurt. Many of us came into this way with pain. Many of us been abused. Many of us lost our parents. Many of us suffered and been violated. And then we come into a place where we call on Yah, but we still hurting inside and don't know. So what we do is just share the pain and express the pain to everyone else. We go out there and curse people out in the name of the Creator. But all we did was target our hatred towards somebody else. And until you remove that anger and that hatred inside of your body, you will not manifest and see the Creator. Navinu Moshe Kwatsaf, which is the Hebrew word, he snapped. He lost his cool. And when he lost his cool, he was not able to make it to the land. He was not able to enter because he didn't, and he had anger and hatred for those who caused him wrong in his heart, even though he prayed for him. But for that one moment, he lost it. We have to take these things, and they should be examples for us, that we have to understand that there's a fight for us. So if your people is teaching you hate, and they're telling you that hate the white man and all of this stuff, we don't have time to hate. And if you hate the white man, then why don't we join together and fight? Why don't we join together and uplift our people and remove the strands and the bonds that's oppressed upon us? Why don't we separate ourselves and build these great nations? But when I look out there, all I see is us fighting each other. The hatred is not towards the white man. The hatred is towards your brother. And that's because we've been abused and afflicted. We were taught not to trust our brother, taught not to love our brother, taught not to uplift our brother. This is not what the Torah teaches you. And this is just like the book of Eli, the movie. There were two people in the world. There's ones that can do wonderful things with the scriptures and bring people in the truth. There were rebel leaders like Nat Turner who fought. Even the honorable, who they call the honorable Elijah Muhammad, said we are the children of Israel, and try to change people's lives. And then there's those, the pastors, then there's those, the new Hebrew Israelite religious leaders that slander and destroy each other. Because the book is dangerous in the hands of a fool. So if we do not understand this, if we do not elevate ourselves, then we're going to continue in our suffering. We're going to continue in our pain. This truth is so powerful, it could be magnified. But you just have to learn how to use it. Moshe came down. When he came down from the mountain, he said he had a shine and a glow upon him. That's because his aura was strong. But how do you grow your aura? How do you make it strong? You speak truth. You don't spend energy on negativity. You pray to the Creator. You meditate. You do right by your brothers and sisters. This is the energy of love. That same energy you feel when you're watching a TV show or somebody does something on the show and it makes you feel exciting. That's called empathetic neurons that we all have. We feel empathy for each other. And when we do good for each other, we heal our bodies. Our serotonin and the dopamine is released inside of our bodies to heal us. The only way to be healed is to love one another. And they can tell you I'm an MLK, Martin Luther King talking, I'm a Torah talker. And I'll spread that truth and I will spread that word until the Almighty removes me. To fight sickness, you have to love. You have to love. It's simple. And it's pure and it's understanding. Yah brings us that beautiful light. He teaches how to be beautiful with one another. He gives us that strength. He puts that ruach, that divine spirit in all of us. You see, when Abraham passed his trials and tribulations, the Creator decided to add that hay in his name. And that hay symbolizes the receiving of a spirit. Because when you do right, when you pass the trials and tribulations through the world, you receive that the divine connection, that truth. You unlock that Ark of the Covenant where the Almighty says in Exodus 22, he said, I will talk to you from the Ark of the Covenant. You are a temple. He said, between the two cherubims. And the cherubims are the cherubims or the cerebrums, the two brains, the four wings, the four lobes. Between that, he will talk to you. And the universal law that stands inside the Ark of the Covenant is the two tablets that represents the pituitary gland that secretes 10 secretions. But it's time for you to elevate yourself. It's time for you to know the truth. It's time for you to understand the right hand of Yah. In Hebrew, when you say Al Yad upon the hand, that means the side, the right side, dealing with the right hemisphere of the brain that connects you with the Creator, your frontal lobe. But if you continue to be in a negative path in ways you cannot receive this information, and some will take this information just to use it and bastardize and lord themselves over other people, and there's other people that will take the information and heal their brother and heal their sister and love their sister. In the beginning, I said I'm third generation. We used to have stores. We used to have communities. But we started chasing a material dream. Once we got to these colleges, we moved on up and moved out of our own communities and destroyed our own groups. Because we didn't understand the truth of Torah. Where's our jobs for our brothers and sisters? Where are our jobs? The Creator commands us. He says, if your brother works for a foreigner, you must redeem him so that he no longer works for a foreigner. Why are we working for foreigners and not redeeming our brothers and sisters and building our own businesses? This is what Torah teaches you. Teaches you the light. It teaches you to love yourself. Focus. Don't ever forget the fight is not against your brothers. And it can never be. We're blocking our energy. We're blocking that divineness. When we forsake the past, when we remove ourselves completely from Yah. He said man's thoughts are perverse. This is what separated him from us from the Creator. He said they worship me with their lips, but in their heart they're distant from me. That's called religion. We didn't have no connection. We didn't have no connection to the Creator if we don't follow the will of the Almighty. We have to understand that there's different levels. The Israelites spread the truth and went through the world to spread that truth. We spread light. We saved many people. We saved them. Let's take our words. Let's take that practice. Show kindness. Stop slandering your brother and your sister. If you know anything about behaviorism, we were created to behave this way. Look up a man called B.F. Skinner. Look him up. It's very important that we see this, because if we don't realize how we've been conditioned, we can never remove the shackles. In the book of Yeshayahu, it says Israel will be redeemed when it breaks away from its oppressor. Oppressor. The truth is coming. The truth is coming to save your people. And it'll only be a few people that accept it. There's only a few people. The Creator says in Jeremiah 31:31, I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. See, we don't have to have a book. It's natural. It'll be natural to us one day. And we will return to that Garden of Eden. That Garden of Eden that's being protected by the flaming sword, which represents the solar and cosmic energy that's responsible for opening up your third eye. We will get there. We will get there, and we have to. We will relight the menorah that's in your temple. We will relight that 7-stem menorah that represents the 7 portals or the 7 wheels. Or your Be'er Sheva, your 7 wells. Wells are life springs. And notice that every time my forefathers went to Be'er Sheva, they prophesied, because they unlocked and opened up them 7 springs. The truth is with us. We have to clear our minds because our subconscious is being polluted. We have to separate ourselves and build our own communities, because all of the stuff that we're watching is polluting us subconsciously. The brain is a receiver and a transceiver of God's great consciousness. And there's an Asian saying that all is in the mind. Many of our sisters on the line and brothers on the line are depressed. They're suffering from depression. It's because we're overthinking. We're thinking too much. We're thinking about how much people hurt us and how much we want to see payback upon them. Slow your mind down. Meditate. The Creator says, meditate on my law day and night. And how do you meditate? What you do is you take time to separate yourself. Take the breath. Allow that ruach to enter you, that wind to fill you, that oxygen to heal you, that oxygen to be a part of your body, and release all the thoughts in your mind and meditate on the goodness of God's salvation. Because your mind will not be happy until you destroy somebody else, or till somebody else becomes hurt because somebody hurt you. So when I see our brothers and sisters attacking each other, I see individuals who are hurting inside, who just need love, who have become the same evil person that oppressed them. They just repeating the action. The underlying fabric of the universe is light and energy and sound. We have to understand how the vibrations work. the electromagnetic spectrum that's inside the covenant of the Creator. Have you ever looked at the energy centers in your body? They reflect the covenant that the Creator showed Noah when he gave him a what? A rainbow. That's a covenant between you. When you unlock these energies, you will never be destroyed. You will never see the Mabul, which comes from the word Balal. Mabul means flood. Balal means confusion. The Creator will build you up an ark, a Tibet. That Tibet means an empty vessel, meaning you're clearing out yourself and allowing the Creator to fulfill you and to be in you. Then that gopher word that is made, that gopher etzim, the etzeg gopher, means divine counsel. See, the Hebrew word has a spiritual understanding, a physical understanding. Each word has a color, a sound, and a smell. So now when you surround yourself and you build that ark with that gopher word, this is a story about you. And yes, it's also historic. There's 500 flood stories in the world. That's confirmation of Yah's divine word. But then he said, and pitch it with kippur. And if anybody who are on basic level of Hebrew, we know that kippur is not actually pitch, but it means atonement. That many of us are slandering each other and we're fighting against each other because we are not even looking at our own sins. But once you start dwelling on your own sins, then iniquity and evil will not take you to another level. You have to be conscious. Remind yourself. Remember when you were a sinner. And remember that you still sin this day. Let us judge our brother. And the Apocrypha says, judge your brother as you would like to be judged. And many of us are not on that level, or not on that path. And we all are fighting. We are all in the struggle today. These are some of the things that we have to share. We have to share with our brothers and sisters and let them understand that God's truth is the powerful truth. Yah's truth in this path is the divine path. We have lost our divinity. But we can find it. We can find it once we find that balance. Once us as men stand up and we understand that the information that comes from our wife is to bring us balance and we can be leveled people. If we understand that Yah's word is the truth and we should not remove ourselves from his truth and that is absolute, then we will not falter. So when it says about gossiping and loving your brother, loving your neighbor as yourself, you must remember that that is the truth. And Yah only deals in truth in his law that binds you to his holiness. The Hebrew word, Torah, the Tau is a sign. The Wav is a tent peg or a fastening beam. The Resh is a head. And the Hay symbolizes the divine spirit entering the body. That the Torah is a sign that'll fasten your mind until God's divinity. The whole scriptures is not explaining to God. As you understand in Psalms, our King David said, there is no words that could describe your greatness. But what that book is describing is you. And how you can elevate and become a divine being. How that when we separate ourselves, our children are at risk when we're not connected to the Creator and we're allowed to bring diseases inside of this world. When Adam and Eve separated themselves, they created Cain and Abel. And they behaved as idiot savants because they were ones who were missing that certain image that the Creator had put upon Seth. But though they could not connect with the Creator or connect with one another, one slew the other. And this is what happens when brothers fight. This is what happened when brothers quarreled with each other. That one of our first lessons in life was to show how brothers are supposed to be. We see stories of brothers tearing each other with Yaakov and Esau. And later these brothers who have the same parents become enemies forever. But we don't see them lessons. We don't use that light and information that the instructions are guiding us and telling us about the bad behavior and repeating the negative behavior. The Creator is our light. He's our strength. And the truth of the Almighty is divine in all aspects. It is a truth that should cause us to be exalted in all forms. It is a truth and it is a sign. I've been in this way all my life. I am only 34 years old, and I thank the Creator for every day He has given me. And every day I see what I can do to elevate myself and bring myself back to the consciousness of the divine being, to walk in His infinite light, in His truth, and understand that we had divine people that came before us, Enoch, Hanuk. Hanuk means education and dedication. And in order for us to walk with the Creator, we must be educated and dedicated to His word and His will and His understanding. Hanuk lived 365 days, correlating the lunar cycle, meaning that he studied the astronomical bodies and how they connected us and how we are part of the universe and a microcosm of it. Though he was written down in different other places, you will see him as Emi Darenki in Babylon, or even deified in Egypt as Tahuti. So when we're looking for proof of our forefathers, their proof is all throughout the world. Our forefathers walked and traveled through the lands of India and through the land of Egypt. In the ancient Hebrew and Proto-Hebrew groups, taught different systems and taught different philosophies and elevated the people. You will see thousands and hundreds of cities with Hebrew names in ancient India. You will see in Damascus and Syria that they spoke Hebrew and they had Hebrew names. And the same people came down into the Levant and into Egypt and taught science. That this Hebrew people were a priest group, a priestly caste. We brought peace to civilizations. We established things and took control. That even Hadrian, one of the evil emperors who hated Israel, said that the Hebrews are very industrious, that they're a powerful group, of all craft. Even the lame amongst them is devoted. Where are them Hebrews? The Philacians, when the Philacians were in Ethiopia, they prevailed strong and took over until the people gathered together and tried to cast them out because they were too powerful. The Hebrew Israelite influence was so strong that all the way up to 600 AD, the Middle East, India, and the east coast of Africa was under Hebrew influence. And the last Hebrew king that ruled in the Saudis or Arabia was called Du-Nuwas. Our truth is epic, and what we can do inside this nation is powerful if we understand our calling. And everybody has to be the head. In fact, the head is the dangerous job. But find out who you are in this divine body and build and become the best finger that you can be. Become the best palm. Become the best heel. Imagine a body without a heel. Imagine a hand without fingers. Imagine a body without a heart. Imagine a people without a soul. This time, this valley of dry bones will rise and be uplifted and exalted to a level that we will never, never want to go back to this low level that we at, fighting amongst each other. We can build so much. We can be so strong if we love and believe in our Creator. We ask Yah to place truth in our heart. He said, I will remove them stone hearts and replace them with flesh ones. We have become so angry with one another, we can't live. We can't breathe. We have to understand who we are and go back to it. And there's so much things to say and there's so many things to talk about. But I'll ask our brothers and sisters to understand that there is science, and the scripture is dealing with science. It's dealing with a physiology that many of us can't comprehend, but all it does is take an open heart to see if it's true, to see if meditation and prayer change your life, to see if separating yourself from those who are negative will change you. The Most High says in Psalms 22, he says, separate thyself from a scoffer. Who is a scoffer? A scoffer is a pessimistic person, someone who always talks negative. We have all of them people in the midst of us, but we tend to make them our friends because they're not talking about us. But then when we feel and realize that they are talking about us, when we realize the friend that we accompanied, that slanderer, that we made our buddy, and he feels that he's close to us and we love him and he'll never talk about me, there is no rule that slanderers follow. But then we become hurt because they exposed us or said something that we wasn't supposed to or they wasn't supposed to. God tells us to separate ourselves. He is the infinite one, Yod, Hey, Wav, Hey. He says he is, he was, and he shall be. Open up that divine vessel and allow the king to come in. And I know that many of you, Shabbat is coming in, so I will open the floor for a question and answer. And I thank the brother for allowing me to be on the show, allow me to present some information, and hopefully it's received. And even by those who are rejected, I appreciate that also. Because our people, for sometimes we have hated those who oppose our views. And opposition of your view either makes your view stronger or it kills it. So it either needs to grow strong or it needs to die. This is how the right and left brain works. The right brain receives intuitive divine information. The left brain uses logic to decipher it and see if it's possible, and it opposes it to see if it can be done, and if it can be done, how can it be done? But when we're not spiritual, when a person doesn't agree with us, we pretend or we go into a savage state. And this is all in the scriptures. We read these words. It says, rebuke is like an anointing oil to the wise. It said, rebuke a fool. Do not rebuke a fool lest you hurt yourself. Because what happens with a fool? When you challenge his views, the brain releases what we call neopinephrine. And that pinephrine that is released in the brain is a deadly chemical. It is the same chemical that's released in the body when the body is under attack for its life. So when people challenge our views, we tend to go into a barbaric state because we are not close to the consciousness of the Creator, and this is why we have to deal with epigenetics and recreating our genes. That's why the Creator says with the Torah, we shall put them on our wrists. We shall put them on the doors. On Proverbs 3, we shall have them as a chain upon our neck. Because we have to surround ourselves. And just like these people brainwash us with these evil commercials, brainwash us with these evil TV shows, brainwash us with all of these things, we have to go back and do the same and elevate ourselves through the same avenues. Remove music, but create music. Remove the shows, but create new shows. We have to create our own environment, our own societies, and our own communities. If not, we're just going to behave like our surroundings and our environments. It's called evolution. The body will adapt to its surroundings so it fits in. So let us open the lines for our brothers and sisters who have any questions and allow us to help spread this truth.
And it's person number one. Let's hear it from the people. Let's see what they got to say. Let's go to the first caller. Let's go to 252-883. You're live in the air.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace, Brother Sal. And peace to the brother that's giving the class.
Peace, King.
I would like to say it's a wonderful class, and he touched on some. I think I was in Pampers, but it was it's a very good class, and basically talking about brotherhood. I just want to ask him 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask this. Do you acknowledge that in the Torah there is only one Yahweh or Yahuwah, or is Jesus Yahweh also?
Well, me, as I stand on just the Creator alone, Yahweh, and I don't follow I'm not I guess so to say, a disciple of the New Testament. But I do follow the divine Creator, Yahweh.
Oh, okay. Basically, before I go to my next question, because I have proof, I just want to know: did you have proof for acknowledging what you're acknowledging, saying that Yahweh is the only Creator?
Oh, what do you mean as far as proof? I mean, elaborate.
Like through your scripture.
I mean, there's all through the scriptures where it talks about the Creator is the one, and even Deuteronomy 6:4 says Yah is one.
Exactly.
So I mean, okay.
Oh, okay. Hey, I just wanted to know if you knew. Okay. Let me ask you. Basically, do you follow the New Testament?
No, I don't follow the New Testament. The best understanding, I do believe Yahweh Shah or Yehoshua existed, but not in the aspect as they depict them in the New Testament. But I don't want this to become a New Testament versus a Torah conversation, because that's not my goal, and it's never my intent for that to break out into a discussion or a debate on that aspect. You know. I'm about promoting unity, and like I said at the beginning of the show, that's all I did. In my younger days, that's all I did. I debate my brothers so much where I hated. I mean, I had hate for them. Like we didn't even get to build, man. And it was probably some good brothers that we probably had been close, but we were just too busy throwing doctrines at each other, and we couldn't stand each other.
Right. Okay.
And love where I'm at now, I see how dangerous that is. I mean, like I was on Facebook. I was off Facebook for maybe 3 years, and one of the things I seen when I was off Facebook, it was just constant messianic versus Torah based, going back and forth. I mean, it was just so ugly. Like when I was bringing people into this way of life, and then they'll come into our way of life and they see us fighting, and they're turned off. So when I left, I came back to Facebook. I still see the same thing coming on. It's just the groups divided. Now it's Hebrews versus Egyptologists, Hebrews versus other Hebrews, and the doctrine we always had for the longest, for like up to 2,000 years, we had different understandings of Torah. We had different understanding and concepts. So when we get into that, we have to focus on basically what do we have, because basically if I'm doing the Torah and you're doing the Torah, we're walking the same path. It's just the appearance. It's just people wanted to make it appear that the path is not the same, but the path is the same. But the belief in some aspects is different. So when we're following the same rules, if we're following the same rules, then we can live together. Then we can build together. Yeah.
The reason why I asked was not like to have a Old and New Testament debate. I just wanted to see individually where you are, because I deal with other individuals who have different aspects and so-called beliefs, where I wanted to know is what I should have asked was, is the Torah sufficient enough for you to live by without using the New Testament?
Oh, now that's a better question, and that's a good question.
Okay, yeah. So I apologize for asking that other question.
All right, cool. All right, and this is what I say. A lot of times we separate ourselves. We have to have a foundation and an explanation and a teacher. So
if the New Testament is acting as a teacher of the Old Testament, then it is a beautiful thing with people, if they're understanding that deep down inside, that this is showing them better how to become better Hebrews. What we did have was judges, and judges later until wrote books on describing how to apply certain aspects of Torah. So, perfect example: we slaughter animals. We eat. Some of us eat meat, but we don't know where the rules is to slaughter the animal. Do we beat the animal upside the head? Do we just drown the animal? No, we have slaughtering rules. We have sacrifice rules. But these things you can find. You'll find in the Mishnah, which later on comes in the form of Talmud, which most Hebrews reject, and then. So there is rules to teach you how to follow Torah, and there is books and there is certain understanding, but that's why it's always, and see what we have now is different. See, everybody has a book, right? Now this is a beautiful thing, but it's actually one of the most dangerous things in the world too, because now everybody is they lean to their own understanding, which the Creator speaks against, and only those who were taught and disciplined, they were the ones who taught how the Torah was supposed to be applied, not everybody who just picks up a Bible. So that's where we're at in our community, and you see so many different sects. I mean, and it's going to continue to go that way until we form a community or form a structure where we all follow order, even though some people may not agree with certain things. But for the best term, we'll have to work together until the Creator give us the true divine understanding. So at the same time, there's people that take some quotes from Paul and misinterpret it and step away from Torah. Right. So it's different avenues that we can, because like I agree, everything in Torah is not clean cut. It's not just plain and simple. It does need a teacher. Right, the Torah does need a teacher. There's somebody that has to teach these lessons, and that's why you see the examples. A lot of examples of Torah played out through the Tanakh, but for the most part, everything is there. But then you get some people that may read the verse in Deuteronomy and say rape is okay, which is not what it says. Right. So kazik is the word they use. They use for rape, and when it gets down to the last verse, when the brothers use that law for rape, it doesn't even use that. It doesn't even use that word. It changed the word completely. Right. So it's different. It's things that we just have to be taught. But also, what happens is when you purify yourself, once you start applying Torah and started becoming closer to the Creator leads you in the direction of truth anytime. Like people, you can have 1,000 books in your house. You say, how I know which one is right? Well, be right, and you'll figure out which one is right. The Creator will lead you down the right path. So our path is to continue to master ourselves, and then certain things will come in your life that you'll need to make you a better person, to understand your mission and to understand how to become close to the Creator.
I like that because time and time again, I really never see. I'm from New York. And so being in, like, when I left the church and being in the street, there were old school or old timers that would say something to me in the street, and I always said, hold on to that, because you never know in life. And sure enough, you know what I'm getting at. Yeah. I got it. But like when I studied Eastern Semitic or Islam or Egypt, I sat myself under teachers like people like when I studied African history. Okay, I sat in City College under Dr. Jeffries in the program, and I think you know who Dr. Jeffries is, right?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So what you said was important because I see a lot of guys, especially young guys, take it up upon themselves. They know they're probably like 24 or something. I'm not judging, but I've studied over 20 years this stuff, and I'm just getting it, right? And they still wet behind the ears, and they haven't sat under scholars. I sat under people from Africa and so forth. So what you said was very edifying, and it hit right home. So, like I said, this is a excellent class, and keep doing your thing.
Thank you, dear brother. Appreciate you, man, and much love.
No problem.
I appreciate your call, my brother. Once again, this is Debate Talk for you. This is your time, guys. This is is your time. You know that number, 646-716-7320. All you got to do is press the number 1, and I'll add you in the conversation. For those people that just joined into the show, my special guest is Nasi Yashuv-EL. Let's go to the next person. Let's see what they got to say. Let's go to, by the way, for the first time, people that's calling into the show, I only have one rule, guys. No foul language, because we have people that are listening with their kids and, entire family, so make sure you keep it clean out here on Debate Talk for You. So let's go to the next person. 646-643. Live in air. 646-643. Live in air. All right, I guess we got to go to the next person then. All right, let's go to 312-841. You're live on Debate Talk for You.
Shalom, Mark. This is your brother Demo from Chicago.
What's good, Ken?
Shalom. Just want to let you know a beautiful lesson on it that our people definitely need to hear that, especially, you can see amongst the Hebrew Israelite camps, it's a lot more beef than unity, and that shows that, how we all claim to be Israel, but everybody fighting and all that other stuff, so that's definitely needed among the community. Going back to Psalms 133 and 1, behold how good and how pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity. So, yeah. Glad you touched on that out, and hopefully we can keep on spreading this word and getting this truth out and actually applying it at the same time, because we can have a bunch of knowledge, but if we don't walk it to show the youngsters, it's all for naught.
Definitely. So, I appreciate you, King.
All right.
I appreciate that call. Once again, guys, this is your time. Guys. You know that number, 646-716-7320. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio. We got a few more people I see pressing number 1. Once again, if you have a question or a comment, just press number 1, and I'll add you in the conversation. But I see we have a lot of people that's tuning in via phone, and I appreciate everybody that's here in attendance checking out Debate Talk for You. Let's go to the next person, though. Let's go to 516-286. You're live in there.
That's me? All right.
Yeah, you're live, brother. 516. How you doing?
Thank you. How you doing, brother Nasi?
Shalom, Ken. How you feeling?
Sure, I'm doing well, thank you. I had 2 questions first.
All right.
First question is, I was wondering about Edom. Who do you say Edom is? That's one of the things that I'm in a lot of the as you said, like the Hebrew debate groups and stuff like that as well. I hear a lot of back and forth about like who they think Esau is and so forth and so on. Me, I personally never really thought it was the white man, so-called, or whatever. But it's be like whenever I suggest such a thing as the white people in Japheth, I get a lot of backlash from other Israelites. So I was just wondering, what was your understanding of who that is?
Okay, well, I stand on that. I don't believe that Edom is the white man. I'll explain this. Edom, right? Edom was a ruddy black man. You see the same description that was given Melech Dawid. But what happened with Edom is, when Edom joined allegiance with Rome, and joined allegiance with Rome. So you see that when you talk about King what's his name? I'm gonna have the brain fart right here. But we're dealing with the Edomite king who reigned over King Herod, right? And you see what Herod, when he had allegiance with Rome, when Israel fell apart and Israel was being destroyed, all Esau fled into Rome. So when they fled into Rome, they assimilated into these groups, and then you can see maybe how they started picking up European genes and do assimilation and do just repopulating, because they didn't care. You look at it first and foremost, Europeans need black genes to survive anyway. So that was beneficial to them for their survival. So the Edomites you do see today will look kind of European, but you can see that they have some black genes. Like perfect example, when you look at Einstein. Einstein even has a Cohen gene, which is a black sub-Saharan gene. You know, and he looks like a straight European. But these brothers still have that. They still have that Shemitic lineage and that black lineage inside of them.
Okay.
But as all the Europeans, I would not consider them all the Europeans. I believe that a lot of the Europeans came from, and I'll explain this. We were always taught that Shem was Asiatic, Ham was Africa, and Japhet was European.
Well, this
Right.
is kind of true on a simple level, but when you really go into the details, that's not so. And I'll explain why. Because when you look at Yafet, you look at the older civilizations of Greeks and a lot of European clans, they always were black. Now, what happened is some of the ones that fled into the mountains, they began to change because they needed to slightly evolve. I'm not talking about evolution from monkeys to man. I'm talking about slight evolution. Human body has to adapt to its environment. So a lot of times the ones who went into the European mountains and further up north probably changed and became European. But at the same time, we know Amorites. When you look at Amorites and you see biblically the Amorites are Hamitic, right? But when you look at history, they look their features look Indo-European. And you say, well, how's that? Because they were the Amori. The Amori meaning they were mountain dwellers. They lived in the mountains. So you can see how a Hamitic person could have Indo-European looking traits, even though he just moved to different places. So when we try to label the white man one specific group, that's not always going to work.
Right. Yeah, I think that's good. I was listening to Dr. Ali Muhammad on some stuff like that. So I got a little bit of understanding with, he's Islam and all, but I think he has some good teachings on, certain things, especially like the evolution of people and all that. But my second question is more or less, so I'm first generation practicing Hebrew or whatever. So I, as far as like I've been knowing the Bible like my whole life, but I'm trying to get more of an understanding because I think you're the first person I heard break down the Bible metaphysically. And so that opened up like a new doorway or whatever. So that's when I started listening to more people that, Dr. Ali Muhammad and stuff like that to get more of an understanding and even each child is to understand what their understanding is on, the metal netter and stuff like that. I wanted to know how do you like understand the Bible in that way? Like, is there some books you're reading? Because I can't find any books or anything like that breaks it down from a Hebrew perspective. Everything I read is like anti-Bible, anti-Torah.
Okay. All right, and this is how I explain it. Other people have different aspects. Some people's good at math. Some people good at this. Some people good at that. I'm very intuitive. That's my strong point. I don't have any subject that I'm a beast at. But let me explain this. Well, a lot of things I understand because I study Sumerian writings, right? And understanding Sumerian writings, Sumerian texts, then I started studying Egypt. And studying Egypt, then I started realizing that, and truthfully, that I was reading. And I actually started reading like Indian stuff too, like maybe stuff from the Hindu perspective and stuff like that. And the reason, I have definitely had that book, and the different Vedics and all of this stuff. When I started reading, I started to understand the scriptures more because it was coming from a more cultural perspective. So instead of a European perspective that we was following, like perfect example, when you deal with the serpent, I read a book from Amaru Netta. Dealing with the family, and he was talking about the reptilian part of the brain. So in the reptilian part of the brain, my intuitive side went off, and I started saying, hey, that's the reptile in the garden story. The reptilian part, because the reptilian part of the brain deals with seductive, it deals with reproduction. So when you see the serpent taught them how to reproduce. Even in ancient Sumerian writings, a snake coil is a double helix. It's a DNA helix. So now what did the serpent teach them to do? The serpent taught them how to reproduce. And that's like the original man was with 22 chromosomes. The third chromosome was a reproductive chromosome that was taught to them by the serpent. And that's why the serpent told them to go to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And it said then Adam knew his wife. So it connects it with the sexuality, and also the tree of life is connected inside of the body and the mind. And when we go to understanding that the reptilian part in the spine, and you deal with all that, then you understand the whole spiritual breakdown and the physiology. And then it's just things that are like the whole pituitary gland and the pineal gland. One secretes white. One secretes white. The other one secretes a golden brown color.
Yeah, like the land of milk and honey. Yeah, the
land of milk and honey. So things just start connecting. When you start looking at it from a metaphysical, and it's actually based in truth, in historical facts, but it's given an allegorical representation in some of the visions and stuff like that. And you see that, like, through our teachings, that all the forefathers represent different aspects of the human mind, but they're real people, but they're given different accolades. And you start seeing that, like perfect example, in the scriptures, All you have to do is read the person's name, and you know what they're going to do in the Bible. It's
Right.
as simple as that. Like Moses ben Amram, right? Moshe means to draw from water. Amram means exalted nation. What did Moses do? He drew the exalted nation from the water. He crossed the Red. He took them through the Red Sea. So their whole name is going to tell you, Yehoshua, he shall be saved. Ben Nun. Ben also means son, but it means in the midst of or in the middle. And Nun means wastaways. Yehoshua was the only one that was saved from the wastaways, besides him and Caleb. So their name is giving you prophetic truth and is showing you these things. So even when you get into the whole 12 tribes, when they're starting to name the babies, that's actually a prayer to God. They're praying to get it created. It's prophecy of what's going to happen to Israel. Everything they did was prophecy. You have a question, why would Abraham let Sarah leave? Why did he beat 5 nations but let Sarah go? Because it was prophecy. Abraham represented the Creator. Sarah, which her name is even in Yisrael, represented Yisrael. Sarah went into the house of Pharaoh, and the house of Pharaoh was plagued, and Sarah came out with riches. That's the same thing that would happen to Israel later on down the line. So the Creator was giving Abraham a taste of what it feels like and what his people is going to go through.
Well, I never looked at it like that at all, definitely.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of stuff. Like my brain just started triggering, and it'll flick to one thing and flick to another thing, and it helped me understand a little scriptures. Like, I'll give you one more example. When the Philistines took the Ark of the Covenant, right? And you know how I teach that the Ark of the Covenant is the sphenoid bone, and also a representation of the brain. So when you look at the Ark of the Covenant, the Philistines said, put it on a cart with an ox, and if it goes to Beit Shemesh, then we know it's of God. And if it doesn't, then it's not of God. What is Beit Shemesh? It means the house of the sun. So the Ark of the Covenant, the pineal gland, is going to go towards the sun because we're melanated people. So it's just giving you a breakdown inside the scriptures by telling you an actual story, but it's telling you how the body works also at the same time. The book is beautiful. So the book is beautiful. Let me show you, there's no book that you need. Only thing you need is somebody to spark your brain. Our brains have been docile. Once your brain start moving, like if you get new information, you feel the back of your brain start tingling, right?
Yeah.
That's because it's starting to work again. It just needed to be exercised. It hasn't been exercised, and that's what most of us as brothers and sisters, we're not exercising our brains. But once you start getting, and I tell you, I used to read a lot of Jewish books, and I don't like saying Jewish because a lot of that stuff is our stuff. A lot of Hebrew books, and they used to give me hints to things. Once you give me a hint, I'm running with it. And the funny thing about it, even they don't even interpret the Hebrew right. They interpret it close, but they're also hiding something too. They don't really want you to know the truth. So they're not going to tell you the spiritual aspect of what these Hebrew letters mean. So all you have to do is go into either Sanskrit, because Sanskrit is written by it's an Aryan, it's taken over by an Aryan group, but it was started by Dravidians. You understand what I'm saying? So if you look at a lot of Hebrew words, it's the same thing as Sanskrit. So if you don't understand it and you look in the Hebrew and you just see a regular word, look it up in Sanskrit. Also, look it up in Medu Neter. Look it up in Aramaic. You'll get different understandings because the Jews are hiding stuff. Like, perfect example, Leviticus is called Wayikra, Wayikra, which he appeared, or he proclaimed. You know, he proclaimed, and in that, Wayikra in Sanskrit just means divine proclamation, meaning you get divine proclamation. All of these words are the same thing. When you look in the Bhagavad Gita that you was talking about, you see in there that there's a story about a flood story. Read the flood story. You're going to be laughing. They got the man has 3 sons, just like Noah. Noah had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Shem, and in their book they got Soma. We got Ham. They got Kama. We got Japheth. They got Japati. I mean, it's the same story. And in fact, when you really start digging into the history, you find out that the Hebrews are somewhere tied in with the Dravidians, who spread their information throughout the whole world.
Yeah, what I've seen was, if there's one truth in the beginning and it stems off, everybody should have a part of it if we all spread out from some point in time. I think Adam would have been the first person with the law, would have taught his children and so forth and so on. So a lot of time when you're looking at Kemet and they have their, the Ma'at laws. The Ma'at laws are a lot like the Ten Commandments. They say we copied it. So I don't think we copied. It was, if there's a divine truth, if there's a truth, then everybody had it. It's not copying that someone else relays the truth. You know,
but one thing about that, there is no laws of Ma'at. So when people say that's a lie. There is no laws of Ma'at. There's only confessions that were given by some people, and everybody's confessions wasn't the same.
Right,
some people had five confessions. Yeah, and that was only the elite class. That wasn't the poor people.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I pointed out in the beginning about the law being about, Israel having the entire law as a nation, as opposed to other places where it was more just the elite who had certain information. That was a real good point. I wanted to thank you about that.
And one thing to touch on that is that if you look at all religious aspects of Egypt comes from foreigners. Like perfect example, Khnum. Khnum is a pottery god. Egypt didn't make pottery. They didn't make their own pottery. They got their pottery from the land of Canaan. So that means that God comes from Canaan. Ptah. Ptah is not a Middle Netter word. It's actually a Hebrew word which means opener. So these words and these different entities that came in there are being worshipped, but they are actually people that they're worshiping. So they are learning from other people, and that's why I always share with brothers and sisters. The oldest Kemetic religious writings that we have found is in the Yunus pyramid, and in the Yunus pyramid is Canaanite writings and Proto-Semitic writings, which came from Ebla. Anybody know anything about the Ebla tablets? The people in Ebla are a Proto-Hebraic group. They had names like Mikael. They had Yah on their name. They had El on their name. And they were speaking a form of dialect of Hebrew, and they were the ones, and they later on they called the Haparu, which come into Egypt and teach them certain customs. But I'm not saying Israelites, these were Hebrews that were before Israelites.
Yeah, I get it. So the Hebrew is anybody who came from Eber, right?
Cain, the descendants of Eber. And then later on, a lot of people started equating Hebrews with a lot of different groups that started crossing over.
Yeah.
Because you notice we never called ourselves Hebrew. It was always somebody, when you in Scripture, somebody else called us a Hebrew.
Right. We just Israel, right? That was like after a thing, but before that, I don't. That's one of the things that everyone's always asking for proof, especially when I try to witness other people, because like you said, I'm trying to big on this whole unity thing. I'm not a messianic follower. I don't believe it. My mother is somehow. She's still caught up hard in not letting go of certain things, no matter what, despite what I show her or whatever. And that's fine. I don't debate over whether or not, how people view him. That doesn't really make a big difference to me as to whether or not as long as they keep the law. I forgot my point. What was I saying?
Okay. What you can do is my email is Hebrew Moor, and Hebrew MOOR, and not because I'm a part of the Moorish science. I don't want no fake rumors to start. It's because I understand what the Hebrews did in Moor in Spain, and the impact that they had, and a lot of the science that they brought forth from the people, and how they saved the Europeans, and how they actually started the revolt that was in 7/11. They started getting the Europeans kicked out and brought in other groups of more. So, we have to understand that we have to understand our people. So just go to HebrewMore@gmail and just hit me up. Let me know it's you, and we'll try. We'll definitely build. We'll definitely build.
All right, my brother, appreciate that call. Once again, guys, this is your time. You know the number. Everybody knows my favorite part of the show, the public Q&A. Our listeners all across the globe call in with their questions and their comments. As a matter of fact, when I let you in, say your name, say where you're from, and get into your question and your comments. I like to know, where everybody's at. So once again, you know that number, 646-716-7320. Yeah, brother Nasi, you got some more time, brother? You got to,
No, I'm cool, brother. I'm cool, brother. I'm cool.
All right, cool. Let's go to the next person now. Let's go to 910-551. You're live on the Big Talk for you.
Okay, praise Yah. Shalom to both of you.
Shalom, King. How you?
Shalom, brother.
Well, all right. First, I want to congratulate you on the psyche shift that you got going on here, and you obviously have shifted many other psyches by doing this unity situation, because I could tell how it shifted your whole speech pattern. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure your pattern has followed suit and your action. So I want to congratulate you on that, because that's a great thing.
Thank you so much, brother. Okay.
Then I want to say that it's y'all's understanding that there will come a time that when those who kill you think they're doing Yah's will, and there's a time that I'm not certain about this part, but that all of Yah's elect will be killed, and then they'll give gifts for 3 yoms after that. And so my question is, what is your concept? What is your like a brief concept of salvation, and from whom? And then give me a few verses that alludes to the world accepting Israel. And then there was a point you had brought up in the lesson about engulfed by light from the Kundalini to the pineal gland. So I was wondering if you can give me some practical steps to make that happen, or do we have to wait for Yah to show us in a future time?
No, Yah has already shown us, and that's why the Torah is. Like, perfect example, one of the stories that caused confusion is Nadab and Abihu. Everybody has a different reason why Nadab and Abihu died, right? Now, Nadab and Abihu, when you think about it, now let's go into it, because it's a divine light that transmit inside the pineal gland. Is almost like a awakening, a consciousness, right? Now, Nadab and Abihu represents Ohed or Aharon, which is the coil or the serpent or the tangling at the base of the spine. And when you go into the I use Kundalini now, but eventually I'm going to stop saying it because people are going to understand what I'm saying. But eventually the 2 serpents, they spiral up, bringing a fire unto what? What is the pineal gland? What is the brain called? The brain is the holies of holies.
Right.
So Nadab and Abihu were the divine. They were the 2 branches of the Kundalini energy, which is the Aharon, the serpent, the rod of Aharon. They extended into the holies of holies and were engulfed by a holy fire. That was the initiation or the inauguration of the temple. It seems gloomy, but it wasn't. It was a divine sacrifice on showing you how the body works. And that's why it tells you to even be careful, and it tells Aharon to not go to the Holy of Holies many times and not visit it much, because you can lose yourself in that consciousness, and the best way to go through it is through fasting. That's why he says only do it on what? Yom Kippur. One time you appear in the Holies of Holies on Yom Kippur. So through it, this is one of the biggest things that changed my life. And I thank the Creator for it. I mean, I have been off my game slightly recently because I haven't been doing it, a lot on my mind. But meditation, and many people, Israelites say, oh, that's Hindu, that's Buddhist. No, the scripture has so many verses referencing meditation. It's ridiculous. But what we only learned from church was prayer. So we didn't apply prayer and meditation. I was stressed, I was depressed, but I had to stop thinking. I even had to stop hating people that hurt me. I know it sounds crazy, it may sound Christian, but it's the Torah, it's the truth. It says, bear not grudge against our brother. And no matter what we think, when we grudging against somebody, we are just hurting ourselves, because we start to age quicker. We start to die off when we're not loving. Our body is only built to love. Perfect example, if you have a headache, you know, you wake up in the morning with a headache, you know how to get rid of the headache? Have sex. Your body heal itself through love. If you cuddle, your headache will start going away. Your body is only built to love. It is not built to grudge or have hatred. So there's so many things. Okay, when you talked about salvation, so that's partially it. You know, because one thing we like to say is the law is all we need. Yes, the law is all we need, but we need to learn why we know the law, but we're not doing the law. It's because we are being trained. We are being programmed by media, even those who think that they're Hebrew Israelites. The word Yisrael means he who prevails over God and man. It's not talking about Yah. You ain't going to beat Yah. But it means the powers, the celestial energies. You prevail over that and the terrestrial energies, meaning you're not influenced like that. You're not influenced by your zodiac sign and it's controlling you. You're not influenced by your homeboys around you, because now you're in a divine realm where nobody can take you out of that consciousness. So one of the things about salvation is the first step to salvation is if we don't start teaching our children. If we keep on sending our children to these public schools and we're losing half of them, because guess what? The school is teaching them what they're learning in the scriptures is not right. That's what the school does. The school teaches them that if you don't let them, why are you not letting them do Christmas? Oh, that's so mean. You're mean. You're a mean parent. So they give them a little snack bag on the side, tell them don't tell the parents. You know, if we don't separate our children, if we don't separate into our own communities, how about an idea like this? Let's say we had a Hebrew community, and on Shabbat, we just on the Sabbath, if you're Messianic, you go to the temple on the east side of our village. If you're Torah-based, you go to the temple to the west side of our village. And then when we're done with the Sabbath, we all come back together and exchange commerce, exchange information, exchange teachings, and build our community. And in Isaiah, I think it's 10:14. I'm not sure, but if you can't find it, it's going to say, and I'm outside, so it's going to say this. It says, redemption will come when you break free from the hands of the oppressor. Meaning those who are feeding you. We are being fed by them. These people are killing us. Only how salvation is going to come is when we break free from this government, from their systems, and create our own. How many Israelite banks are they? How many Israelite jobs are there? How many Israelite communities? And this is why we're struggling. We are not built to be around them. You read Deuteronomy 7. It says, when it talks about the Canaanites, it said, do not even make a contract with them. But yet we giving our children birth certificates. You know, birth certificate is getting it means you're getting permission from Poseidon and Neptune to have ownership over your child. Yes. Look it up. When you go to college and you become a doctor, you have to take a Hippocratic oath. When you take the Hippocratic oath, you're praying to Apollo and 5 other Greek gods. So we think we're out of idolatry when we're not out of idolatry. So that's how we get salvation, is breaking away from these gods. Okay.
And then the third point that I had mentioned was a few verses that alludes to the world accepting Israel, because that's why I had prefaced it with that the prophecy says that we're all gonna be dead, you know, and then for 3 years, and then they got the resurrection of the elect and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But is that a New Testament prophecy, or is that I think that's an Old Testament prophecy?
No, it's New Testament, but the prophecy I believe is 100% accurate, because you can find it also in the book of Jonah. When you see in Jonah, right? Jonah, he's in the belly of the fish. If you look at the fish is an ancient representation of the water, but it also represents the sun. And we understand that the sun dies 3 days and it resurrects itself. But we are all like the celestial bodies. So Israel will go down, and remember it said a time and a half, and all of these prophecies. We look at the Creator. Even when you look at Laban, when you look at the story about Yaakov and Laban worked for him 20 years, right? And Laban tricked him into slavery. But what does Laban mean in Hebrew?
White.
It means white man. Yeah, it just means white. So when we open up them scriptures, the time of us being redeemed is somewhere around these next few years, I feel. And I'm not prophesying. I'm just saying, according to most understanding and what most people agree, we should be out of here in a few years. But that's not everybody. Everybody's not going nowhere. Everybody that call themselves Israel is not going. And I hate to knock people off their high horse, but most of us are going to be running up to the door, and the door going to close right on our face.
Wow. Well, I appreciate the wisdom. I will use the word incredible.
Appreciate you, King. Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you for calling in to Debate Talk for You. And I see some people calling in via Skype, guys, and some of them may be international listeners. If you have a question and you're calling in via Skype, simply press the number 1, and I'll add you in the conversation. But for the rest of you guys calling via phone, you know that number, 646-716-7320. Just press the number 1, and I'll add you in the conversation. We got a few more people here that press the number 1, but everybody else is just listening. But once again, if you have a question, this is your time. Don't be shy. You know, let your voice be heard. If ever hold your peace. You know that number, 646-716-7320. Let's go to 314-680. You're live on air.
What's going on? Peace to everybody in the house.
Peace, King. How you feeling today?
Out of St. Louis. I'm good. Yeah, I wanted to say, man, a lot of stuff that you spit and a lot of stuff that you saying is a lot of metaphysics stuff. And a lot of that stuff, man, ain't going to get our children out here saved for reals, man, because especially people that have to go to the extent to try to gain the knowledge to do that. I think with the things of God, I think one of the reasons why God keep it simple is so our minds have to be converted as a child, and he keep it simple so we can understand the simple things. And one of the things that we have realized is most of the people that have put forth that knowledge are the most of the people who have went forth even in the ancient times and have started to take over and rule over the people because of the wisdom and the knowledge that they felt that they had. But I heard you were saying certain things about the garden and different things. You know what I'm saying? And the aspect of it. Everybody has an aspect of what they feel of what happened in the garden. It's like what you're saying now. Everybody has something different, and I think this is one of the problems why God has made the Bible simple, a simple book like it is, without the with some of the things is literal and some of the things is symbolic, because everybody is spitting something different from what you're saying. Did you know that? And that should let us know.
Okay.
And that should let us know right there. Go ahead.
I want to answer some of your questions, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you, brother, and I appreciate what you're saying. And a lot of what you're saying is on point, 100%. It's not for everybody, and I said that at the beginning of the show. A lot of the information is not for everybody. Some people go too far with it. Some people, there's a thing called the Agada, right? The Agada is the breakdown of Torah or stories in Torah. And as long as the story in Torah doesn't allude or contradict the laws of Torah and it's useful, then it's considered to be acceptable in some aspects. Perfect example, Solomon says, give not thy strength to a woman. I watch many people translate that thing in different forms. One says, you shouldn't be a henpecked brother, meaning letting a woman rule over you. Another person says strength, when Solomon used strength, and he does use it, as semen, meaning that you don't sleep with a lot of women because that's your strength. Your semen is your strength. So which one is wrong? Neither one of them is wrong. They both make sense. So what I'm saying to you is, when I talk about metaphysics, I'm only talking about metaphysics that can change your body and change the way you think. Anything that could change the way you think, then it's beneficial for you. And it's beneficial for me. So it may not work for somebody else. And somebody could understand, but guess what? As long as you send your kids to school and you keep teaching them about Adam, Eve, and this talking snake, they're not going to believe that. So
okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question when you talk about a talking snake, because I heard people saying this, and I heard the metaphysics behind it, but if Adam was given dominion, and he's given dominion over subjects, why shouldn't he be able to communicate with his snakes or communicate when everything talks and everything speaks? If he's not communicating with what he has dominion over, then he has the problem. He's not using the full capacity of his mind and his brain.
No, I didn't. Listen, brother, I want you listening carefully. I said how many people are going to believe. I didn't say he didn't have the power. There is going to be a knowledge separation with people that are on different levels. Like, perfect example, when I tell you Jacob wrestled the angel, what does that do for you? How can that change your life? Or I could tell you what it means metaphorically or metaphysically and show you what it means where it can change your life. So there's a difference. A lot of people see stories and they see the history and they don't
how
understand.
Would you tell that? How would you tell it? How would you tell that metaphorically? How would you tell it? Let me hear how would you tell it?
Okay, first of all, the angel is the oppressive angel. There's an angel of a struggle, right? And let's think about it. And he's represented as a man. Also, there's a struggle inside of man. And when you look at it, look at Jacob. Where did the angel hit Jacob? He hit him in the hip. The hip is what? If you follow chakras, if you don't, I'm just going to explain it like that. The hip is the second level of the chakra where it deals with what? It deals with sexuality. It deals with lewdness, and it deals with materialistic things. That's why the only way the oppressor can kill our people and destroy our people is sexuality and materialistic things. That's why in our music, they give us materialistic things and they give us lewd things, because we can never ascend to a higher level of consciousness and become Yisrael, because we're embedded and stuck on the second chakra. So now even the European knows this. This is why our music is called hip-hop. This is why when we look at things back in the days when you did something that was wicked, but they thought it was cool, it was called hip, because at that level of hip, you can never become consciousness. And what happens is when you look at the sun came above Jacob's head, the sun helps activate the pineal gland, right? This is why the place is called pineal. So this shows you that two things: that you cannot be stuck at a materialistic level, you cannot be stuck at a sexual level, that you need sunlight to help activate mind. The pineal gland, so you can communicate with the Creator. And this is why he called the place Peniel, the face of God, and he had talked to God face to face. So now the lesson is teaching you how to communicate with the Creator and how to become close with him. And a lot of us are vitamin D deficient because we are black people that need sunlight, and when we don't have that type of, if we're not receiving that light, then we cannot connect to the Creator, because we're removing ourselves by taking away all the instruments. Now, to me, if I break down and somebody gives me an interpretation, therefore I can do something with that instead of walking around looking for an angel to beat up.
No, that's not what I would give them. What I would give them is, number one, is wrestling with God, wrestling with the Creator about what He's calling you to do. That's what I would give them. I wouldn't give them what you just gave them, because that's going to confuse them anymore. In other words, we wrestling with God. We're wrestling with the purpose that God has and the call on our life. In other words, we're wrestling with being one with God, and we don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? When
that's your interpretation, and it's beautiful. I love it. That's your interpretation. The Bible doesn't say that. You just said that.
Yeah, the Bible definitely says that.
No,
the Bible definitely says he wrestled with God. Let me say this, brother. All that stuff you just said, you added half of that stuff in there, brother. That's called your interpretation, and it's beautiful. You don't have to agree with my interpretation, but I love your interpretation. Okay, but let me ask you a question, brother. Why was he wrestling with God? What he was in fear because of his brother. So he struggled in fear, and when he struggled in fear, God wrestled him about that thing, and he said, I'm not God, I'm not going to let you go till you bless me. Because fear is what causes us to wrestle with God in the first place. So, yeah, I get a message behind. There's a message behind that, but to take it on another level, I explain it simple because I'm called to be a teacher. I'm called to give it to the people so they can understand it in the way that they can understand it.
No, listen, there are many people that understand it the way that I understand it, but what you brought forth was beautiful too, King. I'm not knocking what you're bringing forth, and all I'm saying is that it seems as if there's a problem because there's different levels. I hope you know there's different levels of spirituality, and there's different realms of spiritual growth. And there's certain people that would some people that will understand it. Certain people would accept it.
Too many people gonna go there.
Hold on. A person that's a kindergarten teacher or elementary teacher should never attack a college teacher. It just doesn't make sense because there are different levels of growth. So if the people you're talking to and the people that you're dealing with would never understand what I'm saying, then teach what you're teaching, because that's the purpose for the people that you're doing. We have different paths and different goals. I'm showing you what worked for me. I'm showing you what works for me and allows me to go to a different level. So when I tell you I separate myself from this hip hop, the nasty music that's killing our people, I tell you I stay out in the sun to receive to get a little energy, to get to take away headaches and sickness and stuff like that. These things work for me. This is not a fable. It's not fiction. It's not just a story. And that's what I'm saying. So if that works for you and your congregation or whoever you're teaching, that's a beautiful thing because Yah put you over them to teach them. So it's beautiful for them to understand it. I teach to the masses. I teach to different groups. I go on lecture tours. My lecture tours, people who left the way of life come back and say, I didn't even see it from that perspective, and I was looking for growth, but I didn't get growth, so I left being a Hebrew Israelite. And some of them came back. So some things work for people, some things don't. Brother, I'm not mad at you. I'm not even, I think that you have a beautiful mind, and I think that if you're teaching the people and you're trying to help them, then may the Most High bless your hand in all things that you do. But you can't knock me for what I teach because you say some people don't understand it when there's millions of people that understand it all over the world. In fact, I wrote a book on it, and the book sells, I'm receiving checks every month, because there's people that's loving the information. So that's what I'm saying. There's different walks, and there's different agadas, and there's different interpretations to certain things. And even if you look at our old sages and our old teachers, they always had a difference on interpretation. But the interpretation shouldn't separate them as long as the practice of law is being practiced. That's all.
All right, once again, guys, you're listening to Debate Talk for You Radio. Hope you guys taking down them notes. You know that number, 646-716-7320. We got a little more time on the air, guys. I'm going to take a few more callers before we sign off. And once again, this is your time, guys. You know, make sure you press the number 1. And I know a few of you heard some of the shout-outs live on the air. If you want to send in your 1-minute audio shout-out, to send it to debatetalkview at gmail.com. Once again, to say your name, where you're from, and say what you like about the show. Show your love, send your shout-out. Once again, to send your email at debatetalkforyou at gmail.com. Send it in MP3 format, and I'll play it on the next segment of Debate Talk for You. You know, we only got 2 more weeks, so make sure you show your love out there. Debate Talk for You Radio.
Sal, I want to thank, I'm not going anywhere, but I want to thank all the listeners on the phone, because you know what, this is actually the most friendly group I've spoken in front of, you know, and I speak on Israelite Blog Talks all the time, man, and I appreciate it, and I even appreciate the opposition that some brothers give, and it's a beautiful thing, but sometimes we have to listen and understand that everybody has different purposes, and we can all build. You know, a lot of people love being confrontational. You know, they don't know nothing else. And I want you to understand that even though people may love you, but if they have been hurt their whole life, only thing they know how to do is hurt other people. That's all they know how to do. Even when they're trying to love you, they're mistakenly causing pain in your life because they only react off of what is tapped into their subconscious, and they're trying to suppress their pain, but they can't. And so when we deal with certain levels and certain things, it's beautiful. And like me and the brother, we just talked. I didn't disagree. I didn't disagree with anything he said. You understand what I'm saying? So it's beautiful, but we have to understand that there's a purpose for everything, and make sure our purpose is pure. You know, if it works for people, if it's helping people change their life and it's inspiring others, then make sure you check, because a lot of times what we do is shoot down the information and don't check down what the information is creating and what is it doing for people. And if it's changing people's life, then that's what the Torah wants it to do.
Yeah, no doubt, definitely. Yeah, I see we got some more callers standing by, guys. Once again, this is your time, guys. Make sure you take advantage. You know the number, 646-716-7320. Simply press the number 1, and I'll add you in the conversation. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to 716-563. You're live on air.
Hey, shalom, Brother Sal. This is your brother Zadok Ben Israel, Congregation of Israel. How you doing, fam?
Hey, what's going on, my brother?
Oh, man, nothing much, man. I just wanted to commend the brother Nasi. I'm getting familiar with him. I saw him the first time. The first time dealing with the individual named Seti. I think he did a heaven of a job, if you will.
Okay. Turn out, man. You know,
no doubt,
that was something. That was something that happened for years, man. Because I was actually training to debate Malachi Z. York, man. You know, but you know, the most I had it where it was SETI. So.
Oh well, hey, whoever got to get that work, Okay. That was good. I just wanted to commend you for coming on. I think it's been a long time coming. I think you came on the scene with such fire when people saw you on the side netter that a lot of people have been waiting to just talk with you. And even though I am a brother who definitely is a lover and believer in the Torah, and also a believer in Yahushua being the HaMashiach of Israel, and I'm not sure if you are of that same persuasion, I just wanted to call, not to debate or anything, I just wanted to say that whatever we may disagree on, I think that you are showing yourself to be a worthy brother and making a good representation for Israel as far as the searching for truth and the desire to really, really turn our people on to the necessity to learn them scriptures and to repent and turn unto our Creator. So we here in Buffalo, New York, man, the Congregation of Israel, and I'm one of the teachers, man, and I just wanted to call and salute you personally.
Man, I appreciate you, King. My email is hebrewmore@gmail, man. I want to build. Also, we having a camping trip in July, man, July 25th to the 28th. And we got a lot of groups of Israelites coming out, man. And we're going to be on the land surrounded by campfires and lakes, man, for 4 days, man. So I want anybody on the line that's interested in that to hit me up at hebrewmore@gmail. And, brother, I want you to hit me up because we have to start connecting our groups together, man, and showing strength and doing some stuff, man, that's powerful, man. Like I said at the beginning, man, we were beefing so bad, Malcolm X had to make a public statement that he was going to come and make us have a truce between each other. How bad is that?
Wow. That's bad. That's horrible. And if Malcolm was here today, he probably had to come and say something like that again because there's definitely a lot of ridiculousness going on supposedly in the name of Yah. But, you're right, brother. You said that Hebrew More, is that More?
Hebrew, MOOR @gmail.
Oh, MOOR @gmail. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to reach out to you, brother. We definitely are doing some things here, man, in our small little city, just trying to help get the word out. So, I'll definitely holler at you and prayerfully we could talk personally. But it's good to be on, man. I expect to hear more from you in this forum, God willing.
Okay, appreciate it. Y'all willing, man.
Amen.
No doubt. And Brother Zadok, definitely all the information is in the description box, my brother. If you want to reach out to my brother Nasi Yashuv-EL, in the description box, so you can check him out, my brother. I appreciate you calling in to Debate Talk for You. And once again, it's all about the people, guys. So I know you guys, join the show, taking down your notes. Definitely a classic segment of Debate Talk for You. I see we got a few more people out there that pressing number one. Let's see what they got to say. Let's go to, I believe this is Raheem once again, 252-883. You live in there.
Assalamu alaikum. You got it right, bro, Sal. I kept listening to the brother. I was like, wow. The things you were talking about with the pineal gland and the chakras and the kundalini, and there's so many other aspects. I know you know, and I understand. So, like you said, certain people going to understand other people, and other people going to understand other people. Because, like, when I come on the Sal Show, I try to talk not on a corporate level because I can talk on that level. Not just on a spiritual level because I can talk on that level. I can talk on the hip hop level or slang level, but I try to meet all three in one aspect so they all can get it. You get what I'm saying? But I understand what you're saying fully. So
and that's why I kind of dumbed down some of the metaphysical stuff that I was talking because I know it was a general group and a collective group, and there's much more stuff, that you could touch on to prove these references, man. I mean, like this is mind blowing. Like better sheet means in the beginning, but it also means in the head. You know what I mean? So when we look at it, you see that the Garden of Eden, this place is a paradise, but it has all these connotations that deal with the mind and the brain. And there's 4 rivers that come out of the garden, out of this brain. And if you look at it in the Stedman Medical Dictionary, there's 4 cranial canals that's under the brain that lubricates the brain at the surface of the brain. I mean, like all of this stuff is not coincidence. It's just our forefathers beautiful that they blended in science with historical works. That's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want people to knock that. I don't want them to see. I mean, even the word we deal with the counting, even the number system. Hebrew is one of the first languages that the letters have numerical values. Why is that? Because it has mathematical equations inside of it also. You understand what I'm saying? It has everything you want. That's why when sometimes your kids, you say, "Oh, my kid's he's a good math student." Well, show him that part of Torah. You say, "Oh, my kid is good at science." Well, show him the science part of Torah. You know, it's just so many things that we can grasp, and that's how I look at it. When that book starts opening up, I'm smiling. When I'm talking, my brain is tingling. I'm loving what's going on with this me, because I used to be one of them brothers, man. I wasn't always like this. I never read a book before. Only thing I read was the scriptures, and I was one of them brothers. It's plain and simple. Everything is plain, and you don't need nothing. And anybody say it's deep stuff in the Torah, they're lying. I used to argue hard against that stuff. I used to argue hard against that stuff till the Almighty just changed my heart and taught me that there was a different way and there's more to it. And he said, my secret things I will reveal unto those who are close unto me. This is what the Creator says. In Psalms, David says, show me the secrets of your Torah. So not everything is a secret, but everything was done in the metaphysical part. That's why when you used to ask people about the Israelites, you say, how long, when you been in knowledge yourself? And they say, I've been in knowledge of self for such and such. Knowledge of self meaning you know yourself, meaning you know how you operate. How can somebody who don't know how their body works tell you about how God works? It just doesn't make sense. They're lying. They can tell you God is this, God is that, God is this, but they don't even know how they function. And we're made in His image.
Yeah, I mean, like when you was talking about the chakras and things like that, and the Mishnah, and I don't want to get off into that because a lot of people don't even know about that purification and things of that nature. Like me, I studied the chakra, Kundalini, and all that. But in Islam, we have what is called Alimu al-Saban Nufus, which is the knowledge of the 7 cells. The first self is the one that is the base self that always wants. It's the evil self. It's Ahmara. And the other 6 cells, let me just say, to keep it simplistic, are the good cells. Now, why is it one self can control 6 cells? We need to reverse that and make the other 6 cells control the one self and make the one self be a 7 self of all goodness, which leads to being perfected. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm just keeping it simplistic. So what you were saying is like, it all goes back to Shem, back to Noah, back to Adam. And the thing is, our people, whether you Muslim, Israelite, Egyptian, or whatever, when it's dealing with our people, we need to learn how to come together in a medium, because what has been done was these Caucasians have taken our sciences and got in a society to hide it from us and use it against us. They can't use it against me and me and you because we know. So we're a threat. We're terrorists to them now. So
and when you start, when you like simple stuff like when we teaching this, we're telling you how to counterattack the oppression. You get what I'm saying? Like perfect example, they're going to use most of their food places got red on it because they want you to desire it. They want you to crave it. They know that that red will cause you to crave. And that's what we do. So we go in there like zombies and walk in there. But if we study what we call, I like to call it Bear Sheva, or people call it chakras. I call it the 7 wells. The 7 wells. Then you will understand how the 7 wells work and how the things are. And then you understand more about the covenant of the Creator. Why is the rainbow the same color as the chakras? I mean, you have to understand that these are covenants between us that connect us. And the Almighty says, my Sabbath shall be a sign between you and me. And how do you create the geometric shape of 7? You use a square and a triangle. If you stack a square on top of a triangle on top, a square on top of a triangle, you have a DNA strand. You understand? So this is embedded in your code. The Torah is in your genetic code.
I'm glad you said that, because if you look and study, call it evil or whatever, but if you look at the Kaaba, which we call the house of Allah, that is said to be built by Ibrahim and Ishmael, peace be upon them, it's a square, and Kaaba means cube. You just put and see, all that stuff goes back to Shem. We all the same. We just got different literature, and we thinking different, but we need, like you said, to come together. So all those shapes, the pyramid, the cube or the square, and I don't know if you know about the Lego, it's a tongue twister, lithographic spiral, if you know what I'm talking about. that's in the back of our head, and you know what I'm saying. And in the universe, the Milky Way is that same spiral. And when the hurricane hits, the eye of it is all in the spiral. So we're connected even beyond Earth out into the galaxy. So
same thing with the sunlight reaching Earth. It takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for sunlight to reach Earth. It takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for your heart to pump blood throughout your entire body. We're all on the same system as the universe, bro.
Exactly. So I'm just letting you know, and I'm not even a practicing person of your book, but I understand where you're coming from, and you know our position from me. So I say peace.
Yeah, I appreciate you, King, and you know my email. Hit me up, man, and we'll definitely build.
No doubt.
Once again, the email is hebrewmore@gmail.com. Make sure you send a message to my brother, Nasi Yashuv-EL. I know you're enjoying it. How you doing so far, Nasi? You enjoying this show?
Ken, I'm good, man. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful time, and anytime we get to build, man. I understand people are not going to see things the same, and that's okay, and that's what I love, man. And that don't stop me from loving my brothers, man, because I love them regardless. And that's what we got. That's what we got to learn. Because guess what? If you hate somebody because they don't agree with you, that's where the white man wants you to think. You know what I mean? Not everybody's supposed to. Perfect example. I'm not a math scholar, so I can't really tell you how to do certain mathematical equations and stuff like that. But I'll be a fool to tell you it's wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So everybody has their own lane, own thing, and sometimes we may not understand each other, but when we come together collectively, we just seen that one is the red line, one is the green line, one's the blue line, one's the yellow line, one's the black line. Now we get to work.
Yeah. I see we got a few more minutes left. We got like 8 minutes actually left in the air, guys. So once again, if you have any quick questions or comments, you know that number. Call in right away, 646-716-7320. And shout out to the people that's in the chat room right about now. Let me see who's in the chat room. Let's see who's in here. We got Dabar Emil Shakur. What's going on? We got Kareem Muhammad. Got Wise Words. We got somebody in there, AABBCC. What's going on, my brother? Welcome to the show. And everybody else that's listed as a guest. If you're listed as a guest in the chat room, that means you have to sign up to Blog Talk Radio to create a profile name. It's absolutely free. Just go to blogtalkradio.com later on and sign up absolutely free. Create a profile name, and I can pretty much shout you out the next time you come on Debate Talk for you. Let's go to the people. Let's take a few more. We got like 8 minutes in the air, guys. So if you're going to call in now. Press the number 1, and I'll add you in. Let's go to 404-924. You're live in the air.
Hi, Shalom, Nasi. This is Sister Deanna. Shalom. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you acknowledge. Hi, I'm glad to hear you on the program. You know me, though. I used to live in Atlanta, and I moved to Florida. My son and I. Nasi?
Nasi, you there?
Yes, do you remember? You should.
Okay, Kane. So I accidentally hit the mute button. Sorry. Kane, I know who this is.
Okay.
Shalom.
Okay, well,
Didn't hear anything. Shalom. Okay, well, I'm just calling to say I'm proud of you. We miss you guys, and looking forward to the trip, the retreat. Yes, looking forward to that. And like I think on one text or something I sent you, the brother who called earlier saying he simplifies things and your way is different, that's fine. To me, I see it like this. We're all kind of a piece of a huge puzzle, and we've been scattered. And some people get these pieces of the puzzle, some people get that pieces of the puzzle, and, oh, my piece is right, no, my piece is right. Well, let's bring the pieces together because there's more strength when we become one.
Okay.
And, that's just me to try to simplify it in my mind. But once again, I'm proud of you, and I support what you're doing. And hallelujah, praise the Most High for any and everything. And I'm glad you're on the show, and that's it.
Hallelujah. Torah.
See.
Appreciate you, sister. It's always good to hear from the sisters out here. We got, a lot of testosterone out here. It's good to hear from the sisters, though, calling into Debate Talk for you. Appreciate that, though, definitely. Let's go to the next caller, 440-320. You're live on Debate Talk for you. Go ahead.
Hey, Brother Sal, how you doing? Brother Nasi, peace to you. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
This is Brother LeVar, representing the Most High in Christ, absolute Bible truth. I wanted to say one thing. I've been listening in, and I appreciate your perspective and what you brought tonight and everything like that. But what I found out is, do you remember how you was talking about brothers being on Facebook arguing and this and that? I sit back and see the same thing. Ironically, and I'm not trying to stir up strife, but ironically, one of the brothers that just called in was one of those brothers that I see on Facebook doing that. And he doesn't even believe in following Torah. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. Now it's amazing to me that you come on here and I was actually like inspired the fact that you didn't go at them and get combative, because that's what our nature does. Most of us, somebody disagree, we just claw at them. But you stood firm on what you said, and you said you appreciated what he said, because I came from his same school of thought where we ain't supposed to follow Torah, and some things the Bible isn't as that deep. It's simple. No, I never believed that. After I got understanding that we should follow Torah, I was thinking to myself, there's actually a science behind this stuff. You understand what I'm saying? And what you've done is, although you're not messianic, I can still appreciate the fact that you coming on there and you're not just saying stuff that doesn't make sense. Like some brothers go, oh, that's too much. No, like, why should we have to stay down at your level? Some of us can actually understand the information. You understand what I'm saying? So I want to say, peace to you, Brother Sal. I'll be looking forward to coming on. I think it's next week. I think Antoine told me next week we're supposed to come on. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to Shabbat shalom.
Next Thursday. Shalom, my brother. Appreciate that call.
Hallelujah. And that's kind of what I was talking about, mastering the genes. Like we said, when that combative state happens, that neopyrene is released in that system, and it causes you to go into a barbaric mode or a primitive state of mind, And once you become closer to the Creator and your path and your walk change, it allows you not to be that or not have to be that. And there's times that I have to defend it, but that's when somebody's coming against the Creator. You understand? So there's different levels to it. But with my brother, man, I just want to always show that I love, and I have to be a loving and caring person because I want to live and I want to be loved by the Almighty.
All right, guys. We're going to take like two more questions from the people, and after that, I'm going to give Brother Nasi Yashuv-EL some last words to the people out there. I'm going to take two more questions from the people, and then we're going to pretty much wrap it up. You know that number, 646-716-7320. And once again, I appreciate everybody that's checking out Debate Talk for You. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to 678-300. Live on Debate Talk for You. 678-300. You're live on air. Going once, going twice. All right, we got to move on to the next person. Let's go to 910-551. You're live in air.
Okay, I just want to support the tactic and the strategy that's being employed right now. This divine girl from Fayetteville, North Carolina again. So I want to say the argument or the debate or the concern that LaRon had is just like Nazi said, it's still a beautiful thing. So people should not hate on that. And we just discussed it today in a particular forum. So we were talking about this at length, and the way. The conclusion of the matter is, of course, to follow Torah. So the superior intellect this gentleman showed, this Israelite shows, I don't call Israelite Gentile men, but catches people at varying stages of their growth and guides them back to obedience. So you go full circle, and the wrong tactic is to just stay at obedience and don't worry about the rest. So, and then the Royal Israelites tactic is to catch people in different stages of their mental growth process and all these things. You know, they might have steered away because they got so smart, or they fill their brain with so much information that they assume that obedience is unnecessary and things like that. So what he does is just get that net and fish the men back in to the boat. You know what I'm saying? So we can all get where we need to go. So I just want to add that to that, and you know, this is a great tactic. You know what I'm saying? You had actually changed my mind about you. You know what I'm saying? With this,
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Gang. You know, I'll tell you my story. I ran into a wall too, and I thought there was no growth. And I said, well, there got to be more. And I understood, you know, there's certain things where we try to do Torah, but we're hard pressed to do it. You know, it's because some things like we slander, we gossip, we talebear, we hold grudges. These things are Torah, but these things have to be changed internally first. Because these are things that it's hard for us. So most of us will wear our fringes or we won't eat pork. It's good for us to do the physical law, but when it comes to the spiritual law, we're not actually doing them because we're not spiritual. So we have to understand how the spiritual system works for us to elevate to a certain level and for us to remove these things. When I tell you to remove hate from you, it's not because I want you to just forgive everybody and this, but forgive people for yourself, because we would never connect with God as long as we're walking around hating and yelling and screaming at people. And this is the thing that we have to do to elevate ourselves. You know, it's hard to turn on a switch or on and off switch. Like if you're at a job and they're cursing, you're going to bring all that curse home. You know, you're going to bring all of that negative stuff that's in the house. If you're cursing at the job, then it's not like you walk through the door, you just change and turn into something else. You same people that you were yelling and calling bees and all of that, it transpires and comes inside the household. So this is just all the things I'm showing. I'm just showing that Torah does relate with science, and it deals with epigenetics. And epigenetics is changing your environment to make sure your internal self changes. And that's what I'm trying to apply when I say certain things. When I go into meditation allows you to remove a lot of the negative feelings, and you feel relieved. And that's what we need to do, because a lot of us, you know how many people are counseling that they're just hurting and they're distressed and they're in pain and they're Israelites. You know, and a lot of that stuff they got to let go, and a lot of this stuff is working for them.
Right. So as long as it's true, you know, no one should be upset about the information that's being dished out. You know, if you can't comprehend it, then that's one thing. But I can filter it through those intellect levels and stuff like that to realize what you're saying is accurate. So, you know, it should
thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother. Number love.
I appreciate it. We're going to take one more caller. There's one more caller. You know, I wish we could get to everybody, but, you know, time doesn't permit. So after that, we're going to get some final words after that from Nasi Yashuv-EL. Once again, you know that number, 646-716-7320. Let's go to 646-643. Live on air.
Hey, Shalom, Nasi. It's Vinton, man, from New York.
Oh, what's good, King? Welcome.
What's good, King?
How are you?
I'm well, man. I just want to say congrats on your newborn twins. And, speaking on the metaphysics of the Bible is pertinent for people to understand it. You know, a lot of my coming to the scripture, I actually did it reverse. Because, you know, I just want to give a quick testimony. When I went to school, I was learning about metaphysics and existentialism and Buddhism and Taoism. And when I started reading the scriptures, that I had to throw a lot of that away because it wasn't going to mesh. But giving the Bible run-throughs and then running in, you know, y'all putting people like yourself in my life and other brothers in my life to show me that it's possible to merge the two, I began to understand that the book, like you were saying before, is the living word. It's both metaphysical and a physical thing or history. You're just like the human body. You got a spiritual body, you got your ethereal body, and then you got this fleshly body, which is all encased in. And the words is just the spirit being encased inside the book for you to learn and for you to grow. And like the sister was saying, there's different spiritual levels. So I just wanted to give another testimony that there's other Israelites out here who do understand and do comprehend very well what Nasi's teaching. So that's all I wanted to do, man. It's good to hear from you. It's great to hear your lessons, man. And, y'all bless.
Y'all bless. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, shalom, my brother. Appreciate the call. All right, guys, we're going to get into this final statement. Once again, guys, this show is archived. So if you missed any part of the show, just go to the website, www.blogtalkradio.com/debatetalkforyou. And you can even download the show. Once you click on the True Understanding of Torah, below the visual screen, you'll see a link that says download. All right, Nasi Yashuv-EL, you got some last words, my brother, you want to share with the people? You can go ahead.
First and foremost, no glory to the supreme intellect of the universe, Yah of our forefathers, Yah Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Secondly, thanking you, my dear brother, for allowing me the opportunity to come on the show and allow me to present information to the people. As you know, I'm a loyal person, so if you need me any other time, just let me know, and I'm here. And I want people to focus on one thing. One of the Psalms that helped me out today. Because we all go through trials and tribulations, and sometimes we feel a way or feel a certain energy that's pulling us in a negative direction. Psalms 30, verse 9, it says, "In my serenity I shall not falter." And that's what I want to leave my brothers and sisters, is always keep your peace, even when it's hard. And there's always a time and place for everything. But while your brothers and sisters, try to always keep your peace, because sometimes when you leave that serenity zone, you leave that tranquil area, you become angry, and then you do things, and when you turn around, you done destroyed cities. And I want us to realize that never operate off of anger, never operate off of ego or emotion, but allow yourself to be in a serene place, in a tranquil place, and enjoy life. And enjoy the things that the Almighty has given you. And I thank all those who support. I thank all those who question. And I thank those who challenge. I thank those who call on the name of the Creator. And I pray that the Most High be with those and forgive those who slandered any of you brothers and sisters. And I ask for the Creator to forgive those who have slandered me and change their heart and their minds and their spirit and allow them to become better people and allow us all to become better people, because we are sinners before the divine King. And I acknowledge my sin just as everyone should acknowledge their sin. So let us ask the Most High for forgiveness, and remember not to be any of them 6 things that the Creator hate that are abomination in Proverbs 6. And one of those is one who causes discord amongst brothers. And let us not put our hands in that. So when it's Judgment Day, we can look at our Father and make him proud. Hallelujah.